Welcome back to the Stoic 101, where timeless wisdom is used to help you become the best version of yourself. Today, we're diving into an issue that many men face but few know how to deal with: navigating the complex and often frustrating games that some women play in relationships. Things like ghosting, breadcrumbing, or hot and cold behavior that can leave you emotionally drained. But here's the key. Stoic philosophy offers a powerful antidote to these emotional roller coasters. Instead of reacting emotionally or falling victim to manipulation, Stoicism teaches how to maintain control, clarity, and composure. Qualities that not only help avoid manipulation, but also attract and build stronger, more meaningful relationships. In this video, 5 Stoic strategies will be shared, teaching how to outsmart emotional games, maintain inner peace, and become a man who commands respect. These principles aren't about manipulation, they're about mastering oneself. By doing so, respect and value are earned, and never will manipulation be tolerated. Number 1. Emotional detachment. Don't be controlled by emotions. In the realm of Stoic philosophy, one of the most important lessons to learn is the concept of emotional detachment. Stoics believe that the only thing we truly have control over is our own mind and the way we respond to events. External circumstances, whether it's someone playing emotional games, ghosting, breadcrumbing, or giving you the cold shoulder, are beyond our control. However, our response to these events is entirely within our power. When faced with manipulative behavior in a relationship, the immediate impulse is often to react emotionally. A sense of frustration, confusion, or anger can quickly arise, pulling you into a whirlwind of emotions. But Stoicism teaches that it is not the event itself that causes distress, but the judgment we place on that event. The power, therefore, lies in our ability to detach emotionally from these external actions. Practicing emotional detachment. The goal is not to become cold or indifferent, but to prevent emotions from controlling your decisions. Instead of reacting out of frustration or seeking immediate gratification, you take a step back and evaluate the situation rationally. What is the most beneficial response in this scenario? What aligns with long-term goals and self-respect? Consider the Stoic principle that we cannot control other people's behavior, only our own. When you are emotionally detached, you begin to see these emotional games for what they truly are: temporary and ultimately inconsequential in the grand scheme of life. This perspective allows you to remain composed, not reacting out of desperation or neediness, but responding with clarity, dignity, and wisdom. The Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius captured this idea perfectly when he said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength." When a woman plays emotional games, it's not a reflection of your worth. It's a reflection of her own patterns. Instead of being pulled into the cycle of emotional highs and lows, the Stoic man maintains control, rising above the chaos and making decisions that reflect his true values, not his temporary emotional state. This emotional detachment is crucial for preserving self-respect. When emotional manipulation occurs, it's often designed to provoke a reaction that might include desperate behavior, seeking validation, or trying to win back someone who isn't emotionally invested. But by maintaining emotional detachment, you don't need external validation. You know your worth. You prioritize your emotional stability over external approval or rejection. This strength and inner peace are what ultimately draw respect from others, as it's clear that your sense of self-worth is not tied to someone's emotional games. By practicing emotional detachment, the mind becomes clear, focused, and rational. Instead of reacting out of impulse, decisions are made from a place of wisdom, where long-term goals and self-respect take precedence over momentary emotional reactions. This is the essence of Stoic philosophy, the ability to remain unmoved by the winds of external circumstances and stay true to what truly matters. In the context of relationships, this means no longer allowing emotional manipulation to control your life, allowing peace, control, and dignity to be the foundations of your approach. Number 2, recognize behavioral patterns. Identify games to predict them. One of the most powerful tools in Stoic philosophy is the ability to observe and understand the world around us without being consumed by it. The Stoics believed in developing a keen awareness of both internal and external circumstances so that we can respond wisely. This is especially important when it comes to relationships and the emotional games that can be played within them. When a woman engages in behaviors like ghosting, breadcrumbing, or hot and cold interactions, it's easy to become caught in the emotional chaos. However, Stoic wisdom teaches that the key to maintaining emotional balance is to recognize patterns and act with foresight rather than reacting in the heat of the moment. The first step in this process is learning to recognize these patterns of behavior early on. Ghosting, where someone suddenly disappears without explanation, is often an intentional tactic used to create uncertainty and emotional distress. Breadcrumbing, on the other hand, involves offering just enough attention or affection to keep someone interested but without any genuine intent to deepen the connection. Hot and cold behavior swings between affection and distance, leaving the other person confused and constantly chasing validation. From a Stoic perspective, the goal is not to become fixated on the specific actions of others, but to see the bigger picture. These behaviors are part of a larger pattern, one that can be predicted, understood, and navigated without getting emotionally entangled. Recognizing these patterns allows you to take a step back and decide how to act in a way that reflects your values, rather than getting caught up in the emotional turmoil that others may be trying to provoke. The Stoics taught that by understanding the nature of human behavior, we can avoid being blindsided by it. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, reminds us that human nature often repeats itself. He said, "What is not good for the swarm, neither is good for the bee." In relationships, understanding the repetitive nature of certain behaviors allows you to anticipate and respond accordingly. When you recognize the games being played, you can stop reacting from a place of emotion and instead approach the situation with wisdom, knowing that this is just another cycle that will pass. Recognizing these patterns also frees you from the need for validation or understanding from the other person. When you identify the behaviors as mere strategies to gain emotional control or attention, you no longer internalize them as reflections of your worth. You see them for what they are, temporary and ultimately irrelevant. This detachment from the emotional weight of the games allows you to make decisions based on your long-term goals rather than short-term emotional impulses. The key to navigating these games with Stoic wisdom is to develop an awareness of the behavior without allowing it to affect your state of mind. When you can predict and understand these patterns, you remove their power over you. Rather than being pulled into the cycle of emotional highs and lows, you gain control over your response, ensuring that you always act in alignment with your values and long-term well-being. Number 3, set boundaries early. Command respect by establishing clear limits. One of the most important aspects of maintaining emotional balance in any relationship is setting boundaries. Stoicism teaches us to focus on what is within our control, and one of the most fundamental aspects of self-control is knowing when to draw a line and when to say no. By setting clear, firm boundaries from the outset, you establish an environment where respect is mutual and manipulation or emotional games have no foothold. Setting boundaries early in a relationship is a clear statement of self-respect. When you allow others to treat you with inconsistency, whether it's through ghosting, mixed signals, or emotional manipulation, you teach them that this behavior is acceptable. On the other hand, when boundaries are established and maintained, you communicate that your time, energy, and emotions are valuable. The Stoics, particularly Epictetus, emphasize that freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control. This means that we cannot control how others behave, but we can control how we respond. By setting boundaries early, you make it clear that certain behaviors will not be tolerated. If someone tries to manipulate your emotions, disappear without explanation, or give you mixed signals, it is your right and responsibility to protect your peace by walking away or demanding more respectful behavior. These boundaries aren't about being rigid or inflexible. They are about protecting your emotional well-being and staying aligned with your long-term goals. The Stoics believed that life is full of distractions and temptations, but our purpose is to remain steadfast in our values and priorities. By establishing boundaries, you create a space where only healthy, respectful relationships can flourish. This is not about controlling or manipulating others. Rather, it is about controlling your own environment and ensuring that only what serves your highest self has a place in your life. It's important to remember that setting boundaries is a form of self-respect, not an act of hostility or rejection. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." The same can be said about the relationships you cultivate. If you allow toxic behavior, disrespect, or emotional manipulation to persist, it will erode your peace and happiness. However, by setting clear, healthy boundaries, you create an environment that supports your mental and emotional well-being, which in turn contributes to your overall strength and resilience. Boundaries also have the practical effect of helping you identify who is truly worth your time and energy. When you set and enforce boundaries, you make it clear to others that you are someone who values respect and self-control. The people who truly respect you will honor these boundaries, while those who are not genuinely interested in a healthy relationship will fall away, often revealing their true intentions in the process. In essence, setting boundaries early is a Stoic act of self-preservation and self-respect. It ensures that emotional manipulation and unhealthy games have no power over you. By doing so, you not only protect your peace but also send a strong message that you are a person of value, deserving of mutual respect and consideration. And by living according to these boundaries, you invite only the relationships that align with your purpose and personal growth, leaving behind the chaos and confusion that can result from unchecked emotional games. Number 4. Stay calm under pressure. Don't let emotions dictate actions. One of the fundamental principles of Stoic philosophy is the idea of maintaining inner peace, regardless of external circumstances. When dealing with emotional manipulation or chaotic behavior, like ghosting or breadcrumbing, staying calm under pressure is an essential strategy. Stoics understood that it is not the external events themselves that disturb the mind, but our reaction to them. By mastering the ability to remain calm when emotions are high, you retain control over your actions, rather than allowing the situation to control you. When you're faced with a situation where a woman is playing emotional games, it's easy to get caught up in the turbulence of confusion, anger, or frustration. These emotions are natural and valid, but Stoic wisdom teaches that reacting impulsively is the path to suffering. The key is to observe these emotions without letting them dictate your actions. Instead of reacting with anger or desperation, the Stoic man takes a deep breath, steps back, and responds in a measured way. This kind of emotional resilience is rooted in the Stoic understanding that we always have a choice in how we respond to external events. In his famous Meditations, Marcus Aurelius writes, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength." By accepting that the behavior of others is outside of your control, you free yourself from the need to react emotionally. You no longer become a victim of someone else's games. Instead, you retain the power to respond with clarity, intention, and dignity. Staying calm under pressure is not about suppressing your feelings or pretending that nothing bothers you. It's about gaining awareness of your emotions, understanding their impermanence, and choosing not to let them control your actions. The Stoics believed that true strength lies in the ability to control one's reactions, not in suppressing emotions, but in facing them head-on with calm and composure. By practicing this level of emotional intelligence, you avoid getting swept up in the chaos of another person's manipulative behavior. In practical terms, this means taking the time to pause before reacting. If you feel yourself becoming frustrated or upset by someone's behavior, take a step back. Instead of responding impulsively with a message full of anger or desperation, give yourself time to reflect. Ask yourself, what is the best course of action in this situation? Does reacting emotionally align with your long-term goals? More often than not, the answer will be to remain calm and composed. This ability to stay calm is also crucial when the other person tries to provoke a response from you. Emotional manipulators often thrive on creating confusion and provoking strong emotional reactions. They may use tactics such as pushing your buttons or playing hot and cold to keep you on edge. But a Stoic man knows that these are mere distractions meant to throw him off course. By staying calm, you prevent them from having power over you. Your calmness becomes your greatest strength. It shows that you are in control, that you are not easily swayed by external forces. Stoicism teaches that inner peace is the ultimate form of power. When you are calm under pressure, you are not at the mercy of someone else's behavior. You hold the key to your emotional state, and in doing so, you create an environment where you can think clearly, act decisively, and live according to your highest principles. This is the foundation of true self-mastery, and it is the ultimate defense against emotional manipulation. Number 5. Focus on long-term goals. Prioritize purpose over immediate gratification. A key tenet of Stoic philosophy is the idea of living a life aligned with one's higher purpose, rather than being driven by short-term desires or emotional impulses. When faced with emotional games like ghosting, breadcrumbing, or hot and cold behavior, there's often a strong urge to react impulsively, seeking immediate gratification or resolution. However, Stoicism teaches that true fulfillment and peace come from focusing on long-term goals and aligning actions with a greater sense of purpose, rather than seeking short-term relief from emotional turmoil. In relationships, It's easy to get caught up in the drama and emotional highs and lows. When someone plays games, the temptation to seek answers, closure, or validation can be overwhelming. Yet Stoicism reminds us that such desires are fleeting, and that true contentment comes from focusing on long-term values and goals, instead of being swayed by the immediate pull of emotional turmoil. The Stoic approach emphasizes the importance of maintaining a vision for the future, whether that's personal growth, career advancement, or the cultivation of meaningful and healthy relationships. The Stoic philosopher Seneca wrote, "If a man knows not to which port he sails, no wind is favorable." In other words, without a clear understanding of one's long-term purpose, any distraction, such as someone playing emotional games, can easily throw them off course. In the context of relationships, this means that when faced with manipulative behavior, the Stoic man does not allow his focus to shift from his broader goals. He understands that seeking immediate gratification or validation from a person who is playing games only detracts from his overall journey. Focusing on long-term goals helps put emotional games into perspective. Instead of reacting out of frustration or anxiety, the Stoic man recognizes that these temporary setbacks are just that, temporary. They do not define who he is or what he is capable of. By keeping a clear vision of what truly matters, his purpose, self-respect, and emotional well-being, he is able to navigate manipulative behaviors without losing sight of his greater aspirations. When emotional games arise, it's helpful to pause and ask, does this situation align with my long-term goals? Will engaging with this person or reacting to their behavior help me move closer to my purpose? More often than not, the answer will be no. By reminding oneself of the long-term vision, it becomes easier to detach from the immediate emotional triggers and make decisions that support growth, peace, and personal fulfillment. This focus on purpose and long-term goals not only provides clarity but also builds resilience. When emotional manipulation occurs, it's easy to feel weak or powerless. However, by maintaining focus on one's bigger goals, you create a sense of inner strength and direction that is unwavering. The Stoic man does not measure his worth by the fleeting affection or validation of others, but by the progress he makes toward his goals, the growth of his character, and the integrity with which he lives his life. In relationships, those who are truly aligned with your long-term purpose will show up with respect and consistency. Those who play games and manipulate emotions are ultimately not part of the bigger picture. By focusing on long-term goals, you naturally attract partners who share your values, and you avoid becoming ensnared in the emotional chaos created by people who are not aligned with your vision for the future. This is how Stoic wisdom leads to more meaningful, purposeful connections, and to a life lived with intention, rather than being swayed by temporary emotional distractions. To navigate emotional manipulation and stay in control of your relationships, Stoic wisdom is your greatest ally. By practicing emotional detachment, setting clear boundaries, and prioritizing self-respect, you protect your peace and build stronger, healthier connections. Remember, true power lies in mastering yourself and focusing on long-term growth, not reacting to short-term games. If this video helped, like, comment, and subscribe for more content. Share it with someone who needs to hear this message. Stay stoic, stay strong. Thanks for watching.